majority of the population don't even know anything about digital assets or Bitcoin. Can you just speak to that and give them just a little bit of information on how digital assets can help them?
Yeah, I think, well, the biggest thing is, I think, understanding what money is. A lot of people, everybody's driven by money and their jobs and everything, but particularly the people who need it most.
Yeah.
And it's not just the people on the west side of Chicago, it's the people in Senegal, it's the people all over the world, the middle class, the poor, the very poor, the global poor, they're even poorer than the poorest Americans. Generally, people don't understand what money really is. If I ask you, what is money? A lot of people don't have a good answer for that. What is it? How does it work? Why is money? Why is one money better than another? Why is the Venezuelan money not as good as the dollar? Why is the dollar better than the euro? Why is Bitcoin better than the euro? And these are important fundamental questions. A lot of people don't understand how money works, but money will, it doesn't care whether you understand it or not. It'll be your friend or your enemy. Just like fire. It might burn you or it might heat your home.
That's true.
So understanding what money is and how it works is key. And especially because people are getting robbed. The people on the west side of Chicago, why does your gallon of milk $2 and then it's $3 and then it's $4 year after year? People say, oh, it's inflation. Well, why? It's because you're getting robbed. That's why. You're getting robbed by people right down the street here in New York who got $800 billion of your money that the government stole to give to a bunch of fat cat bankers. Why? Because they failed. Because they made mistakes. So because these guys made mistakes, the government robbed from the people and gave them bonuses. And understanding that kind of thing makes people maybe say, okay, I'm going to question this system a little bit. And once people start questioning the system, then they start looking at things that historically have done better, like really fundamentally better money or stocks or other things like that. And they do the things that the rich people have done for decades, and that's why they're rich.
Basically getting ahead of the curve, understanding what this technology is, but also fundamentally understanding what money is. And if you understand that, you'll be able to understand such as digital assets, cryptocurrency. Tell me, where do you think we are now in this cryptocurrency blockchain world, and what do you think will be probably in the next 2 to 3 years in reference to adoption?
I think we're still kind of like where the internet was in the mid 90s, maybe late 90s. There's been some waves and crashes, but there's a lot of interest and a lot of adoption, a lot of big companies like, big funded companies that have put a lot of money and interest in this. There's a lot of genius people around here working. So I'm pretty optimistic about it. I think in 5 years, hopefully Bitcoin will be a really serious global money. And I'm also optimistic about some of these other uses, like securities tokens, some of these other things that I think that will be good uses for this technology. So I'm excited about it. It is still new, and it's very, very risky. But it is something where the world is changing. Whenever there's change, it's also an opportunity.
Definitely. So we're here at the Consensus 2019. I know you've probably heard many people speak, and what are your number one takeaway? It's day one, so we're just getting into this. So what is your number one takeaway from the conference today?
I think it's sort of, a reemergence of Bitcoin being the leader. We've had different periods where it was kind of Bitcoin was, there's periods, I've been to all of these. I've been to, there's 6 of them.
I'm pretty sure you have.
There's a couple of them where Bitcoin was kind of like a dirty word, like, ooh, don't mention Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin becomes more popular. And I think that's interesting, and it is a good benchmark, because Bitcoin is a very, very important project, probably the most important project in this space. And unlike a lot of Bitcoiners, I actually don't mind a lot of the other projects. I'm all about experimentation. I say, as long as you're not scamming people, go for it. And even if you're raising money and it fails, that's okay, as long as you're honest about it. But a lot of Bitcoiners they want it all focused on Bitcoin. So I'm a little more open. I say give things a try, but my biggest takeaway is probably, Bitcoin is very, very dominant, and I don't see that changing. It does have a big market lead, and hopefully, in a perfect world for me, I think Bitcoin does really well, but maybe some of these other things do well too.
These other projects don't do well. One last question: market cap. What do you think this market will be in reference to like 5 years, 5 to 10 years? I know, we're forecasting. It's just a fun question to ask.
It is. And I think about it a lot. It is very hard to predict. The way I look at it is kind of, I think a lot about risk. And you want to think adversarial in this space. So you always want to think what happens if somebody hacks you. You want to assume that somebody's trying to get your phone right now. You want to assume that. So assuming the worst. So my job is to assume the worst.
Okay.
And I say, and I've been asking this for 5 years, I say, what is the worst? The worst is that we're all wrong, and it's all an illusion. It's all like the tulip bubble. And I look at the charts and say, how did that look? How did the great mining boom and the great railroad boom and the tulip boom, how did they look? The charts look exactly like this chart. They go way up, and then they come back, and this could be a sucker's rally. So that would be worst case scenario.
Okay, worst case.
I'm not betting on that. I certainly hope not.
I'm not either. I'm not betting on that either.
It is important to realize that, you got to think adversarially. So worst case, you could have just doesn't work. But I think there's a very optimistic case. If this, and the interesting thing about the chart also, if Bitcoin kind of makes it through this and sort of recovers back, well then it doesn't look like the tulip chart in any way. And then the chances of failure are, every day the chance of failure become a lot less.
Minimum,
it's a lot stronger than it was a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. And that's a big deal. I think it's an asset that's here to stay, and there's more and more people that are doing it. So I've always viewed it as a binary thing. I don't see a world where we have Bitcoin at 2,000. I think it'll either fail or succeed. If it succeeds, then you're looking at a much higher price. You're looking at north of $250 million market cap. Where it is now and higher, maybe significantly higher, maybe 3, 4, 5 times higher. So 5 years, I'll go on I'll say there is a chance it will all fail and we don't have anything, or Bitcoin's at 100. But hopefully we'd be looking at over 50,000 or something like that per coin.
Makes sense. That's safe.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm cautious about the $1 million estimates and things like that.
Heard those.
Because you do have to look at the math and say, well, is it going to be as big as the Thai baht? Is it going to be as big as it's already bigger than Thai baht? I think. Is it bigger than the euro? Bigger than Apple? Bigger than Apple is a good measure.
I think so.
If Bitcoin was bigger than Apple, then you're looking at like 4 times bigger, and that's very realistic. I mean, all this together. Apple couldn't have a conference this big. They could, but it would only be Apple.
Exactly.
They wouldn't have this many vendors. So I think it's exciting. I think, I'm cautiously optimistic. But anybody who invests, I say, only invest what you can afford to lose. Be very, very cautious. You can lose everything. You should only put a little bit in. For people who are, and also for people, like you mentioned, who are trying to build something who may not have any wealth, you especially don't want to risk what you can't afford to lose. But what you can do, which is, even if you're a millionaire, I recommend, don't put the money right in, invest. Come to events, especially cheap events. Some events are free. Some of the best events are really cheap, and you can learn. You can learn about the code, and there's so much online. There's so many programs like yours, and YouTube and everything. That's what I recommend to people. Spend a few months doing that. And then when you do invest, you'll have a better chance of not getting wrecked.
Because you understand it more.
Hopefully,
you have the knowledge more. Bruce Fenton, I thank you. I appreciate you for spending time with my audience, and we look forward to hearing great things from you. Tell my audience where we can follow you at.
Probably easiest is Twitter. My name's Bruce Fenton, so that's my handle. And I'm
that's your handle.
Around and,
cool. Well, that's Bruce Fenton. This is Michelle from Informative Services, and I'm signing out.